Today on Industry Intelligence, I sat down with none other than Eric Levine, a true pioneer of the fitness industry. Eric grew up in Montreal, Canada, and became one of the very first franchisees of Gold's Gym. And his 6 clubs were the most profitable in the entire chain. From there, he partnered with Ray Wilson at Family Fitness Centers, the chain that became 24-hour fitness. Then he took it global, building California Fitness across Asia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, Korea, and Thailand. From 0 to 100 million in revenue by his 3rd year before selling to 24-hour fitness. He brought real yoga out of India and turned it into a movement across the continent. And he's still in the industry today, consulting and helping founders and operators make better decisions and scale. Eric is an operator, a brand builder, and a true global pioneer of this industry. I couldn't be more honored to share this conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. Today, I'm sitting down with Eric Levine, an industry pioneer who helped pave the way to modern fitness as we know it today. He came up in Montreal, Canada, became one of the very first franchise owners of Gold's Gym. Then he moved into Wilson Family Fitness, the chain Mark Mastrov turned into 24-hour fitness. From there, he went on to Asia to start California Fitness through Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, Korea, and Thailand. I can't wait for him to talk about all that. And then he went on, he brought real yoga from India and turned it into a movement across the continent. Still to this day, he's still active in the health and fitness industry consulting. And today we're going to be going through and having Eric tell us a bit about his story, his journey, but more importantly, what's shaping health and fitness today, and hopefully giving you guys some really good advice that you can use and apply to your everyday career paths and the facilities that you're building. So, Eric, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate your time, and I'd like to ask you just how you're doing.
Thank you, Ryan, for having me. Doing fine, living in Los Angeles. I actually will talk about it later. I have a new company called Bandit Active Recovery Wellness,
Wow,
and so we can talk about trends and what's for
please.
sure happening. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's go all the way back because you've got an interesting history. Similar to you, I got in the health and fitness industry at a very young age. So you grew up in Montreal, Canada. I grew up in the East Coast of Canada and moved to Montreal to Toronto 15 years ago. But I just want to hear about like growing up because so did Joe. A lot of people don't know Joe and Ben Weeder came from Montreal, right?
Well, that's how it started. They were dear friends of my father, who was a bodybuilder and an athlete. My father was on the water polo and volleyball national team at the same time.
Wow.
And for my bar mitzvah, I'm Jewish, the Weeders gifted me their home set with the diagrams and everything. And I was hooked. I mean, my father used to have huge biceps, and I remember hanging off them on the way to see the Montreal Canadiens play hockey. So fitness was in my blood. It just was from the very beginning.
Yeah. And so you started out at a place called Vic Tanny's, right? So you're a young age. So now you're like me, I got into the fitness industry. I have downstairs, I should have had them. I have the first set of dumbbells I got at 10 years old, the Hulkamania workout set. My mom kept them all these years. They're blue plastic dumbbells. And I started going to the gym when I was 12 in the basement of a gas station. We didn't have much in East Coast. And like it not only became my career path, but it was the foundational discipline in my life, the character it gave me confidence, something I could do on my own. So it was inevitable that I would just enter the fitness industry as a career path, right? So talk about like this Vic Tanny's journey that you started on and getting in it as a career path, right?
Yeah, well, I was going for my black belt, and one of the students said, I work for Vic Tanny's, and I only work Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays because the women work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And I said, okay, so because he was also going for his black belt and gave me enough time. So, well, what do you do? I work for this spa called Vic Tanny. So I went there, and I went to that club. They had 12 locations at the time. And I got very formal training. They asked me if I had running shoes. And when I said I did, I was hired. So that was the level of training that I had. I had no idea, Ryan, none, what my job was.
Oh,
But
wow.
a couple days later, the manager came and says, "Hey, Eric, take me on a tour, just like you've been taking these guests on a tour." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, you're 100%. Everyone you've taken on a tour buys a membership." Well, isn't that what you want? He says, yeah, but that's not normal. Show me. And at the end of it, he says, well, you should be in sales. So I'm 16, and I used my brother's ID and he was 19. So for a while, my name was Howard. And there was 12 locations. I remember the very first day, I just loved the energy.
Yeah.
People working out and even the smell of chlorine I liked at the time. Even though I locked myself in the chlorine room, they told me the lock is broken, wedge it open. I forgot, thinking whirlpool, download this, and I locked myself in the chlorine room. But I just loved the feeling of it the very first day. Make a long story short, he put me in sales, and within that month, I was number one sales of a chain of 12. Had nothing to do with me knowing anything, but I listened to what the people needed and wanted.
Yeah.
And then I learned how to ask the proper questions. And then I was number one sales. To make a long story short, within about a year, I was managing their new location, which was a walk from my parents' house in Côte Saint-Luc, Montreal. And to give you a perspective, because we used to make a lot more money than they make now,
Mm.
a Corvette 427, 435 was $5,000 and I
Wow.
Canadian, and I was making 4,000 a month.
Oh my Lord. That was
So
cash, right? Wow.
17, walk to work 3 days a week, getting a Corvette every 6 weeks.
Oh my Lord.
I loved it.
Yeah, I bet.
And there's no way I'm leaving. What happened was a girlfriend's mother, who didn't really like me, told me about this Newsweek magazine to go get it. I go get it. Beautiful Christy Brinkley, blonde. And the title was The Geos of Club Med, the people that work at Club Med, the true gypsies of the world.
Yeah.
What is that? I didn't know about a Club Med. I'm in Montreal. We're in the tundra. The ice is 2 feet thick on the inside of our windows. And I'm reading this story about these kids that every 6 months they go to a different place around the world. And I put that magazine down. I sent in my resume to Paris, and I am getting that job regardless. I didn't care about money, whatever. To make a long story short, I get the job, and that's the good news. Now I have to go talk to my dad. And I said, Dad, great news, which is how I always started problems. Great news. So he was already like, yeah. I said, I'm going to Martinique and I'm going to work. I'm going to Martinique Club Med. He said, well, what's a Martinique? Montreal, 1975 for nobody is aware of Martinique in the French West Indies. I said,
Of
it's an
course.
island in the French West Indies. He said, how long? I said, 6 months. 6 months? What do you mean? And he was bragging about how much money I was making to everybody that would listen. He says, what do you mean? What about your Vic Tanny job? I said, I'm going to leave number one. They'll take me back at any time. So he's giving me the look, and you know what the next question is, the obvious next question. How much money are they paying you? And I looked at him straight in the eyes and I said, $60 a month. He repeated the exact same question. I repeated the exact same answer, and he couldn't assimilate it. He just kind of vapored out of the room. And that was the beginning of my fitness. And the reason why I'm telling you about Club Med is because that's where I learned all of my clubs post Club Med were Club Med fitness centers in my mind.
Wow.
Total escape, total fun, hiring right. The atmosphere was when you came into my clubs, you were gone from what happened just before. You were able to do everything that you dreamt of in that hour or 2 hours. And that's why my club were very successful. I modeled it after their energy, their hiring, their PR. The Club Med was on a nice location. We had 3-star rooms 3-star food, 3-star sports, 3-star entertainment. I was doing the entertainment. I can guarantee it was 3-star.
Yeah.
But on Sunday, when the buses were taking them back to the airport, they're all chain linked on the ground and nobody is getting on that bus. Nobody.
Nobody.
Because we touched them. We
Yeah.
touched their heart.
Yeah.
We hit their hot buttons. We gave them the experience that was very, very important to them. It wasn't the room, the food, the sport. They made connections, and we were overbooked, Ryan, every single week. We were supposed to be 2 to a room. We were 4 to a room every week. I worked for Club Med, and I just remember their one slogan was Club Med, the antidote to civilization. And that just did it. That was my PhD in customer relations and a brand that people would smile when they thought of Club Med. Then some people have a mysterious smile on their face, remembering what happened, and everybody else just had a big, big smile on their face. And I learned my PhD in life from Club Med.
You know, that was probably the best decision you ever made because Vic Tanny's was obviously fundamental and foundational to getting you started in the industry. But if you had not taken that opportunity, because it sounds like it influenced what we're going to go to next is the journey into Gold's Gyms, right? And that whole journey, and then from there we'll move on to the next thing after that. But it sounds like you say, it was your PhD, so it was the trajectory and the success and the foundation of what you built everything else on. And that's a lesson for people listening that are trying to shoot for the like they forget about the fundamentals and everybody wants to be paid, Eric, for their time before they have any skill sets sometimes too. Like they don't understand that experience, $60 a month or whatever you ended up making off it was worth hundreds of millions of dollars in the future, which we'll talk about the
Yeah,
success that you had.
and that's a very good point, Ryan, because finding a mentor, I know we're jumping a little bit, finding a mentor that's going to give you her or his time, half hour here, and he has you mow the lawn or write his emails. You have a mentor that's successful in your path trajectory.
Mm,
They have a track record. It's not written in a book. That's priceless.
yeah.
And having a mentor cuts corners, takes away a lot of wasted energy, time.
Hmm.
And to your point, the reason I ended up in Gold's Gym was because I had done a few years at Club Med, which is Peter Pan, had nothing to do with this kind of reality. And an old chef de village, the head boss, he came up to me and he held my shoulders and said, Eric, this is your last chance to ever return home. I see it in your eyes. You've been here a few years. You're one of us because they were promoting me to chef de village. It was my next season. I was going to be a chief, maybe 300 a month, but the lifestyle you wouldn't like, you wouldn't change with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Okay? And he said, I said, so what do you think I should do? He said, I think you should leave because you have a lot more than what we do. I said, where should I go? He says, I've heard about Venice Beach, kind of a halfway house between this reality and that reality. And I took him up on it, and I went to Venice Beach, California. That's how that happened.
Wow. And that's a good description of Venice Beach, especially probably at that time, right?
I signed up my lease at late, like 6 p.m. I didn't see anybody. The next day, I go to the pool and I'm in Jurassic Park. I'm weighing 135 pounds because that was the look Club Med French.
Yeah.
Tom Platz, Robbie Robinson, Ray Menser, Mike Menser, the Barbarian Brother, Ron Tufel are all at the pool getting ready for the Olympia. They not only were like whatever, they were 4 and 5% body fat. Their veins were on the other side of their skin. And I got enough nerve to ask Tom Platz, who living 2 doors from me. I said, hey, you know, what's happening here?
Yeah, what's going on?
I could hide behind his thigh.
Yeah.
He said, Gold's Gym, Gold's Gym. So where we were at Windward Village was a 5 minute walk. Well, at that time, actually, they were in Santa Monica, but they moved to where they are now, and I helped move them for a free month.
So
Probably,
this is 19, are we 1980 now? Is this about 1980, 81?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
1980, 19, when they moved from Santa Monica to Venice
Okay.
at that time. I actually physically moved them. Ed was nice enough to give me a free month
Well,
for
just so everybody knows, I'm born in 83 and I have a lot of value in this industry. Like I really have developed a lot. But this is what we're talking about. Like this is a whole different world back then than we're looking at now. And like this, you and Ed, and some of the other people coming up, you guys are the trailblazers and like shaping what we know as modern fitness. This is why I'm excited to hear, to be part of this conversation outside of it even being a podcast.
when I my first day at Gold's Gym, right? Again, I was kind of used to the swimming pool, like I saw these guys. Now I'm in the club and again, Jurassic Park, and I was intimidated. I make my way to the locker room, and there's a guy there. He looks normal to me. He's in a tracksuit. He says hi. I say hi. He says, "Ah, I must look terrible." He takes his sweatsuit off. He does a lat spread, which I thought he must have broken his back. He was Samir Bannout,
Oh, wow.
speak out from the Olympia.
One of the best
I thought
physiques
he
in.
was normal. I
Yeah.
thought, oh, here's some normal guy. He takes it, sure, he does a lat. To this day, Samir and I are friends, and I tell that story everywhere we go. He lives not far from me here, but it was just such an exciting. Uh, it, when I'm not the smartest guy. I quit school when I was 14, have no formal education, but I've been meditating since I'm 13. I'm very instinctive
Mm.
and I can feel things and vibrations and stuff. Like I felt Club Med. I left, like that was a feeling. And then I'm in the club having, so this was a couple months later. I'm working out there and I'm an actor, supposedly, trying going to all these auditions, getting nowhere. Yeah, I got a job,
Okay.
a good, and it was going to be shot in Mardi Gras. We're already rehearsing, and I was going to make maybe 5 or 6 thousand, like 100,000 today, right?
Mm.
Which I already spent. And my agent calls me and says the movie's off, the film's off. I said, why? He says, Mardi Gras is canceled. I said, Mardi Gras is canceled. The unions went on strike that year.
Uh,
I was so depressed. I had no plan B. And I actually asked God, higher power, whatever you call it. So, I don't have a plan B. So what is it? What do you want me to do? I remember crying myself to sleep and waking up in the morning and trudging Charlie Brown style with my head down to Gold's Gym. No idea. I don't even have any money for the next week or two. And this pretty girl walks in and says, hi. Hi. She thought I worked there. She says, would you train me to work out? And she was pretty. And I said, well, where? She said, here. I said, here. At the time, there was a few girls who were tougher than any of the guys. Hell's Angels leaders, okay? With the tears and stuff. I said, you'd feel comfortable exercising here? And she said, yeah, I think it's kind of cool. I said, what about your friends? Are you a freak? Would your friends come? She said, yeah, it's kind of like culty. That was God in my ear saying, here you go. Pete was working out, Pete Kwiatkowski's head partner. And I said to Pete, I said, hey Pete, um, I want to buy your name. And he sold it to me, okay, for Canada. Get this, $2,500.
wow.
I sold $500,000 of shirts and sweatshirts in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Scarborough in my
Yeah.
first year and opened up my first club in Scarborough because of her me seeing, wait a minute, a regular girl is not intimidated, thinks this is the next best thing. And I opened it up and I got killed by Ed and Pete because I called it Gold's Fitness Center for Women and Men. And I
Oh,
ended up having 60% female. Never had an ad of muscle, only couples and fit females, no muscles,
yeah,
models.
yeah.
And that's how I started the Gold's Gym.
Wow. So Scarborough was location one for you.
Eglinton, Toronto, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Eglinton and Don Valley Parkway.
Okay. And
And
were
I,
you also in Mississauga at the Rockwood
yeah,
Mall? Yeah, so that's still there. It's Olympia Muscle and Fitness now, and I think that's where Steve DaCosta, that now runs One Health Clubs, he had Extreme
he
Fitness
worked
as
for me
well.
there.
He
He
started for
worked
you
for
when
me
he was
there.
18. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
he
still
worked for
talk.
me
That's
there.
that's how
Yeah,
he got started.
yeah, that's where we started. And that we had Mississauga. We ended up having six clubs there, and two with Ed. And that's how I that's how I got started. Made the phone calls sitting on a fruit box that someone had the previous tenant left behind. I had no money. I got the equipment manufacturers to send me the stuff because it's your showroom in Canada. And, I just needed everything to go my way. I put in an ad in the Sun, this big, Gold's Gym logo, Gold's Gym coming now,
Yeah.
and never looked back. Me on the phone, answering the phone, first ad in the Sun in Toronto, and sitting on a fruit box. That's how it started.
That's such a wonderful story, and that should be encouraging for anybody that just right now they know they want to do something different with their life. They want to do something in the health and fitness industry, and they don't know where to start. And it's like it's sometimes it's all around you, like you said, and that's what makes your career so special is because you don't have a formal education, but you didn't need it. You were intuitive, you listened, you were open to the signs, and you took chances and you took opportunities and you ran with it. So let's now we know about what can you talk about super gym advertising? Because I've heard people talk about this. It's like a bit of like in the industry, people talk about it like it's legendary. Can you talk about what that
Well,
was?
it started, Ryan, because I remember going by the end of the first year, there was like 40 or 50 franchises. I think I was the first.
Hmm.
There was one other ready to go, actually in Windsor, Ontario,
Okay.
with Joe Ertl.
Yeah.
He bought it right after me, but that's another whole story, right? Good old Joe. Great guy, actually. But Mike Watson had a club
Oh,
in,
yeah.
in Hamilton, which beautiful. He was one of my best friends. So sorry he passed away.
Yeah.
He had a troubled life. Felt
He did
bad.
have a troubled life. His son, I love watching him and Zane, his son Zane's, just their father and son relationship and him training Zane and them working out. And like I watch along on those Instagram stories. And now Zane has that relationship with his son, it seems like. Zane has his son, and it's really cool to watch.
I was friendly with Michelle Tenier,
Yeah.
who's his mother.
Okay. Yeah.
Michelle is his mother. She was
Yeah.
Miss Canada.
Yes. Yeah.
And Mike saw her on stage and said, I'm going to marry her, But anyway, that's another story.
Yeah.
So
Super gym advertising.
no one had any clue on advertising,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. I had a good knack for it, and I would do my own ads, right, myself. And I was at the convention, Gold Gym convention, and they asked me to speak because we were successful. And they were all loud and bodybuilders and everything. And I just remember kind of whispering, Hi, my name's Eric Levine. We did $500,000 last year. And it was like the old E.F. Hutton commercials. Everyone stopped. So what did he say? That led to marketing that I had one smart ass guy say, yeah, I market every day. I said, wow, most Gold's gyms don't even do anything. I said, how are you doing? He said, Yellow Pages. And to them, remember the Yellow Pages before
Yeah.
the internet?
Yeah.
That
I
was
do.
their way, having their name in the Yellow Pages. That was their way of marketing. Nobody taught them anything. Make a long story short, I started selling full ads, put your address and phone number already made. So I would sell 30, 40 clubs for 300 bucks, 400 bucks. They couldn't make it for 1,000. They didn't even know what to do. Beautiful
Mm.
pictures. And I tell them the script, how to close them, how to upsell, the whole package. And then I did a commercial and just loved my first commercial. And everyone bought my commercial. The second commercial that I made cost me, first one cost me like 3,000, and I sold it for five, like 20 times. I'm making more than in the gym. And then I did another one, which cost about 15,000. It's really arty, really beautiful. And there is a Cannes Film Festival, and there's also a Cannes Commercial Festival. So
Mm.
there was 15,000 entrants in the commercial, and I got a call, French, and they said, Mr. Levine, we'd like to have your commercial as our theme for the year. I didn't even know we were. They put it in. Ed put it. I didn't even know we were in it. I said, "Is this real?" And we we came in second place in the whole world behind Michael Jackson Pepsi.
What? Oh my Lord. That's unbelievable. A gym ad at that.
It was
What incredible
very
story.
sexy.
Yeah.
Like, remember the movie 9.5 Weeks
No, I don't. I don't.
with Kim Basinger and what's his name? Mickey Rourke. Very,
Okay.
yeah. They had the scene where the ice would, erotic scene. That was a year after my commercial had been out. They called
Wow.
it my commercial. Anyway, that's how Super Gym got started. I started marketing worldwide.
Do you know this we'll have to have a conversation after this about that because there's you and I have a lot of synergy there on storytelling and like cutting through the noise with and going back to that is like people just don't know how to tell stories and how to get people's attention and obviously you know how to do it at the highest level. So that's pretty cool that story what that turned into. And that was a whole business model on its own. And I've read that you had the six you had six clubs, right, at one point in time?
Six
They were the most
in
profitable
Canada.
ones out of all the gold
We were the
gyms.
most profitable ones.
Yeah.
And then an owner of McDonald's bought us, and I sold, and so Ed wanted to sell. We sold the ones in Santa Barbara, and then I hooked up with Ray Wilson, who's the first man in the Fitness Hall of Fame. Talk about mentorship. He just passed away at 96. He was my mentor. He grew up in the cotton fields. He was the oldest brother. He had seven brothers and sisters, and they picked cotton. Not enough to get out, enough to get a shower, bar of soap, and whatever, but not enough to escape.
Oh,
And he taught me that side of the coin, and he invented the life cycle. He also
okay,
invented
right.
the whirlpool, and he was a visionary. So going back to what you said about finding out how to get started, uh, if you're able to find a mentor who wants to give you time, 15 minutes a week, whatever, you do it. It's invaluable.
Yeah.
On getting started by getting started. I mean, I know how to backwash whirlpools. I've cleaned the bathrooms. I've done every aspect. Because when I opened my first club, I'm by myself. I'm cleaning, I'm selling, I'm advertising, I'm doing everything 24 hours a day.
Mm,
And I learned it. I didn't start on top. I had no money. I had nothing. I like sell a membership, pay that bill.
yeah.
And while it was exciting and I'm young and didn't have children or pressures, it was a mind-boggling experience. As an entrepreneur, as an owner, there's thousands of situations that you were not prepared for. Even if you're high school, college, PhD in business,
Mm,
I don't care.
no.
Daily in your business, you will get shot 5 or 6 times
Yeah.
every single day.
Let's talk about the wow philosophy.
The Wow Philosophies Club men. I'll give you a perfect example about branding and the wow philosophy. So, as I said, I created my clubs based upon that. What does that mean? It was before Walkmans.
Mm,
Remember what?
yeah.
So, I personally would go to every club, with nail polish, and I would mark the volume. God forbid I came to a club and it was on this side of the red light, the red light, okay?
Energy. Yeah.
I produced the CDs with my DJ. We had four every month. You could use this month and last month. That's it. On the TV was fashion TV, MTV, or sports. Done. All of my clubs had no doors. We had the wide open 30, 40 foot with heat to keep the air conditioning in. Yeah. So I opened up first in Hong Kong and then I went to Singapore as my second country. And this particular club I built from ground up. Gorgeous staircase, and it was just doing phenomenal. And all of a sudden, the numbers started to come down. There's no reason for that, right? So I show up unexpectedly, and guess what? The door is shut. Oh, that's X number one. I get to the door, it opens, it has to open. And guess what I don't hear? I
Music.
don't hear any music. And guess who's not at the reception counter is the receptionist.
Oh my Lord.
Go around the corner, and I'm looking at the fashion TV, MTV sport, and there's two 80-year-old ladies cutting papaya. All energy vampire crap.
Yeah.
By that time, that was only a minute or two, they already knew I'm in town. And Eric's in town and da 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 da. Da. So with total awareness, I did a Ric Flair Hulk Hogan freak out. Went to the equipment and I started throwing it overhand on the Orchard Road, the main drag in Singapore, like a crazed maniac. And the staff was like, I had to unfortunately fire 90% of that team.
Yeah.
Just don't accept, you can't go off brand. People bought you go into a Starbucks and you order a
Yeah.
macchiato and they put in something different. What's
Yeah.
this? Over.
Yeah.
And so I stayed. I stayed for 30 days. The difference between previous month and my month was $300,000.
Oh
Year
no.
1999. 1 month.
Yeah. Insane.
That's branding, that's energy,
That's
that's the job of the founder, that's the job of the protector of the brand. And there's no compromise on that. I don't compromise on the brand. And when people join, they join with Van Halen #9.
yeah.
That's what they wanted. They're not going to come in now and country western music. The dog just hit him and the kid left and he has no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. That's not what they joined.
Well, even today, before I want to kind of go back to you opening up your first California Fitness because I think Ray was quite surprised on the square footage and the building and the lease. I want to hear about that because that's, obviously taking a big risk, but it worked for you. But just music in general. I talked to this about Ed Connors this morning when had Ed on, and everybody now wears headphones, which is good because you get to listen to your own music, but it's like everybody's in their own world. Where when you go to a concert, there's like everybody's in the same frequency and we're
Yeah,
all connected and
yeah,
we're all moving in the
yeah.
same direction. And
True.
that's a special thing. And I think people just think of the music as just noise, but it's connecting and it's building community, right?
It is. Good point, Ryan. And when Gold's Gym was at its beginning of its peak, so World Gym was a mile down.
Mm,
Okay. So Gold's Gym was this rough, high energy. They played music, not my level, but pretty good. And World Gym had no music. It was silence. That was what Joe Gold wanted.
yeah.
And he had Schwarzenegger there because he was his friend. But you go from Gold's Gym for me, which I love the atmosphere and everything. Barbarian Brothers having a fight with the big linebacker from the Oakland Raiders uh, to World Gym, which was quiet like a library with nothing.
Yeah.
They were successful, but not like what I wanted to do.
Mm,
So
yeah.
it's you got to choose your brand and better make sure stick to it because the members bought that.
Yeah, well, Ed even said that Arnold asked him why, because Arnold was involved with the World Gym at that point in time. He said, "Why are your clubs full and ours aren't?" And Ed said to him, "It could be just as simple as the music. It's just the energy you're creating, right?" So everybody thinks it's like, and there is many, it's multifactorial when it comes, it's not just one dimensional, but that's one thing is the energy that the state, because like I say this to people all the time, you have no idea what your members are, what they're going through in their life. It could be suicide, divorce, financial problems, people that are sick in their life. And health and fitness is a lifelong journey. You can't buy it, you can't earn it. Like you can earn it, but you can't keep it when you earn it. So you never know what people are walking into, and they should be able to leave the world behind, and you should be able to bring their frequency up to get that energy up to where you want. And then on the other side, I say all the time, Eric, now I believe a club should be able to go to both spectrums. It should be parasympathetic and sympathetic. I should be able to take you as high as I want and create a different environment I can take you down, whether that's in recovery, longevity, or whatever, yoga. And that's what's beautiful now is you can think about changing frequencies inside the clubs, right? But the music, I believe, is the most simplest thing to set the standard inside your club.
100%. And that's one of the main branding issues
Yeah.
everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go.
So what did Ray say when you found the first building, and it was in
Well,
Hong Kong. The first one's in Hong Kong, right?
in 1996, it's
How many
still
square feet is this?
45,000.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, it's just
ground floor, central Hong Kong, richest real estate probably in the world, more than Fifth Avenue, Manhattan. And I got there. Everyone tells me the Chinese will never work out. Women won't sweat in front of men. You'll never find a building that big with ground floor, blah, 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 blah. And I had been there a few months already, and I wasn't getting anywhere really. And I had done all my visualization, manifestation. I've been into this whatever woo-woo world since I'm 13. And I'm saying, this isn't happening. I go to this landlord, and he's a real wacko. And he's a professional blowing cigar smoke circles and hanging him on my nose. I said, hey, do that one more time. Like I already knew he's not giving me his
yeah.
place. Just get out. I'm not going to do anything. I leave there, and I was so pissed off and actually questioning, like, what is happening here? Nothing's happening. And I'm thought I had this down with manifestations and stuff. So I had to walk a different way to where the expats were, the bars, the fun stuff. And as I walked the different way, my building to the T was there. And they're putting up a sign for lease. 5 floors of glass, escalators, 100-foot open ground floor access. I just, one of those impossibles. And I look across the street and there's a restaurant called California. There was only one person that I wanted to meet in Hong Kong. I had no connections. His name is Alan Zeman, a billionaire from Montreal. And I was told, go find him. Well, couldn't find him. And I go to the California and I say, who owns this place? Alan Zeman. So he owns this place. Yeah. I said, how would I be able to get in? Alan, he's there. He comes out. Hi, how can I help? Hi, I'm Eric Levine. Oh, you went looking for me last weekend. The American Club. How can I help you? So, well, that building across the street, I'd love to rent it. And he said, well, the basement? Like, I said, no, the whole thing. He laughed. He belly laughed. He said, that's like 40, 50,000 square feet. I said, yeah, I get that. I'm pretty good at that. You know how much it's going to cost you? And I said, probably fairly expensive. Belly laugh again. I said, do you know who owns it? He says, yeah, my friend William. He'll be here in about a minute. So from smoke rings, finding the building, finding Alan Zeman, the owner of the building coming 5 minutes. He
Wow.
shows up, young guy, thank goodness, and he says to me, Alan introduced me, and he says, "What can I do for you?" I said, "I'd love to rent your building," which was a department store. He says, "What part?" I said the whole thing. Belly laugh. Now they're both belly laughing. Okay, guys, thank you. Um, I said, he said, do you know how much money that's going to cost you? And I said, you're fair. So he says, I know Alan doesn't really know you, but I'm going to give you a break. I'm going to give you a break. I said, how much? He thought about it for a second. He says, $250,000 a month. And in California, we would say 250 meant 21,000 a month for the
Yep.
year. It's 250,000 a month. And because I don't know you, I would want 6 months deposit and first and last month. So that's 2 million US. And I just bit my lip as hard as I could. Oh, that's interesting. Like,
Oh my God.
holy,
Yeah.
what have I got myself into here? Like, wake up. So I said, well, he said, do you have that kind of money? And Ray and I had just sold our shares to 24-hour Nautilus. We made 24-hour fitness. So we had he had a lot more money than I did.
Yeah.
But I had enough money to get started. And so I called Ray and I said, Ray, I found the greatest location in Hong Kong. It's the exact building. And I'll give you a little backstory. So Ray was very the best partner you could have. But he was very aware, like to get a new location, he'd have to go there, spend a couple of days. Even we had 70 locations. You're not just getting it, he's going to check everything out,
Yeah.
feel it, da. And I had only known Ray for like 3 years. We were partners in Northern California. One day, I know I'm getting off topic, but it's connected.
Yep.
I saw he used to invite us to the Mike Tyson fights. He'd pay for the hotel, the airfare, and the tickets. And then one day, I see him going through something, these bills. And I said, what are you doing, Ray? He said, going through everybody's bills. I said, like what? He said, well, this guy charged me steak. This guy charged me lobster. There's champagne. He said, Eric, how many times have you been here? I said, I don't know, 20. He says, you never even charged a Diet Coke to my bill. I said, well, you never said I could. You told me about airfare and that trust. When I did this Hong Kong lease, he never came to see it. He
Wow.
had he co-signed it and he had a lot more money than I did. And it wasn't until we had the ribbon cutting with the governor, who was still British, that he saw the location. And that's trust. $30 million lease he signed.
Wow.
And that's how that started. So I said, Ray, found the best location. It's $250,000. And he said, how did you get it so cheap? I,
Is he thinking a year, right?
he paused. I paused and I said, a month, Ray, a month. Silence. I'm sure he was having a heart attack
Yeah. Yeah.
and done. But he came to it. And that first club cost us about 4.5 million. Remember, 1996.
Yeah.
So you can extrapolate it to whatever.
Probably 20 million today.
And plus the deposit.
Hmm.
90 days it took me to break even, to get my money back.
90 days.
We pre-sold 3,600 people at $1,000 each.
Oh my Lord. That's a legendary story. In a whole new continent where everybody told you couldn't be successful with the most expensive lease, but that's why
Okay,
you're successful is because you went out and you gave it the wow factor. Everybody else wants to hide in a corner and not take any risk, but you could see it,
copy
right? And
that.
so many people can't see that. So I also read that you went from zero to $100 million a year in 3 years. Is that accurate?
In the third year, that 12-month period, we did over 100 million in revenue and 36.5 million EBITDA.
Wow. Unbelievable. So okay, so this is probably the most exciting part to build up to this story. What does this club look like now as far as like we got it that we're over 40,000 square feet, but cardio, weight training equipment, is there classes? What type of equipment are we looking at?
So that's a great question because Life Fitness was the brand at the time,
Yeah.
still is, and that was Ray's original company. They had two types of treadmills, 9,500 and 9,100. Now, nobody in Asia would have known the difference.
Hmm.
One was about 8 grand, one was about 4 grand. And I'm buying 50 of them. We got a great price. And I said to the staff who do nothing, they didn't even know what a fitness center was. I said, listen, I could have bought the 9100s, which would have been the best in Asia. There's no competition. But we spent an extra $200,000 going for the 9500. Why? Because nobody's going to come with a better product than us. We have the best equipment in the world. Go to bed on that. No one's going to come behind us with better. And that's been my philosophy the whole way. And I'm glad I did that. And it was a full fitness center. I introduced yoga. We had Group X. Uh, and yeah, it was tons of equipment, all glass, and we rock and rolled. I mean, my grand opening party, we had every movie star, celebrity. The governor cut the ribbon. Where the governor goes, all the media follows. And he gave a speech that I could not have written better for him. But the importance of that, international, blah, 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 blah.
Huge.
Huge.
So, how many locations did you have for California Fitness, and across what countries are you in Asia?
We went to Hong Kong first, then Singapore, Taiwan, Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, Australia, Malaysia, China,
Okay.
Australia.
And 70 locations? Is that what you had said?
Later, but when I left, and because I had sold, Ray and I sold back to 24 hour
Yeah.
after only a few years, a couple of years.
Because Mark bought the original fitness from, like, he bought your shares and then turned it into 24.
Kind of. So it was, yes, McCallum DeLu
Yeah.
bought 24-hour Nautilus, which was Mark's company.
Yeah.
Then Mark and 24-hour decided, let's get Family Fitness, and we
Mm-hmm.
called it 24-hour Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray and I sold a lot of our shares at that time to fund Asia, which I didn't want to stay and be an executive with, although Mark's a great friend, I'm not good. That's not me. I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And Mark's a genius, flat out genius. He
But he
got him.
says the same thing about you, you know?
He's
I
the
think you guys
best.
have mutual respect there on.
Oh, I'm the godfather of his daughter,
Okay.
but he's 1,000 times better in 90% of the things that we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Smarter, he can deal with the financial people. They love him. I scare them. He's a lot more sophisticated than me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the year before, when we sold 24-hour fitness, we had an offer from Milliken, the junk bonds trader, for over $1 billion. And
Yeah.
everyone said, sell. Mark said, no. We're worth more than that. And Mark got us a $1.8 billion sale 12 months later. That's all Mark.
Yeah. And he just bought the company back, I think, six
Yeah.
months ago for 100 million, right?
I'm not sure of the amount, but
That's the
when,
speculation, but it's something like that, whatever it be.
well, it's funny because we, Portsmouth Little buys, they go and they hire an outside CEO, which everyone thinks is the thing to do.
Mm.
And he's trying to make all these stupid changes. First thing people do is let's cut the sales commissions. Let's cut the production people's wage, which is your lifeline. That's death. And Mark fought, and eventually they just fired Mark very close to the beginning. And Mark said to me, he said, I'm going to buy back 24-hour fitness for pennies at the right time.
Here we are.
Here we are. And now Mark's got that. He's also the owner of UFC gyms. He sold his shares in Crunch. He was a majority shareholder. Nobody can touch Mark. He's the best of all time in the fitness industry. He can do anything. Owns basketball teams, and there's nobody as good as Mark, period.
That's such a tremendous thing for you to say about your friend
Sure.
Mark, and it's the truth, right? Yeah, and I think a lot of people would agree with you on that. And Mark's flow in our industry, if you're into the industry like I am, Mark is like somebody we all look to, like the Michael Jordan of health clubs and of gyms, and but he's not to the average fitness goer. No one knows who Mark is, but he's again just like you and Ed are. We stand on the shoulders of you guys. That's what I said to Ed this morning. Like we're standing on the shoulders of you guys because. Ed bought for Gold's Gym for $100,000. He had saved money for a BMW, put in 15,000. It was 4,100 square feet. The second one was 9,000. They didn't have cardio equipment. No one was really working out back then. Like no one was talking about nutrition. When we talk about getting into the health and fitness industry now, we're looking at 100,000 square foot clubs and $500 a month membership. Equinox and Life Fitness or Lifetime are selling $50,000 a year memberships. Like it's just a different world that we live in. And you guys are trailblazing and cutting through the noise. But this is the other thing I said to Eric, and you'll appreciate this. We have data now. Like we can look at your stories of what worked, what didn't work, what did they do here. We can watch your guys' podcast. People will watch this and learn. You guys didn't have that. Like when you went
No,
to Asia, you were kind of like Christopher Columbus almost in a way, right? Like trying to
it
figure out your
was
way.
worse than that.
Yeah.
The pollution and everything was just, it was, and I couldn't find the building. And I actually was thinking like this could not happen.
Yeah.
When I left that guy from the smoke on my, I was with my head down thinking, I don't think this is going to happen. And then I look and I see the building at the same moment that that thought came over my head, game over.
Yeah. Wow,
So,
dude.
I've been fortunate to be around a lot of great people, and my teams were sensational. And the testimony. So what I'm good at is I can foresee a trend coming. I
Mm,
saw bodybuilding with women.
yeah.
I saw Asia. I brought back yoga centers. I I went to India myself when yoga was dead. We had 400 locations in 24-hour, and we were teaching one class every 2 weeks. Nobody. I went to India, brought back 11 yogis, third generation, opened up in Hong Kong, $180,000 a month rent.
Wow.
60 days later, I'm putting through 30,000 students a month. And I opened it up worldwide. So I saw that. I brought Bikram yoga when before he was sentenced to 1,000,000 years and whatever. He just started. I brought him the hot yoga,
Mm,
saw that, personal training, obviously. And now what I'm into is I just opened up a company this year called Bandit Social Wellness. It is active recovery,
okay.
hyperbaric chambers, cryo chamber, red light, everything in that world.
Yeah.
And that's the next, that is the, it's not just for athletes to recover, it's for
No,
people,
yeah, I agree.
dementia and Alzheimer, they're old, they got pain from a surgery. This is the second wave of their fitness and
Yeah.
their wellness. And the response has been sensational. The testimonials are heartwarming. I mean,
Very good.
there is
And is this location? Like, are you talking about are you putting these in clubs or are you the
yeah.
independent location?
Well, I figured out a way. The problem with the active recovery world is that the standalones are too expensive.
Yeah.
You got to go 3 days a week, just like the gym. One day, 2 days, 3 days, 3, 4 days a week. If you do the stuff that we have to offer, it's 3 or 4 thousand.
Hmm.
We're $220 unlimited a month.
Wow.
We're inside very powerful fitness centers right now. We
Yeah.
just paid rent. This one I opened up a couple weeks ago
Uh-huh.
has 68,000 workouts a month.
Wow.
Healthy people
Yeah.
already on the journey of health fitness. It's not a stranger outside Home Depot. These people have already made a commitment, more or less, and we're right there. And we only take 1,200 square feet. And it's a good model. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Well, you're nailing what Ed said. He goes because he was saying that that's people deserve to have access to this stuff at a more affordable rate, and you obviously have just caught that trend that he's taught. That's one thing he wanted to see happen is people have access to these tools and these recovery and bio and measurements and longevity and data at a more of affordable rate. People can't
Here,
afford $50,000 a year to, and
no,
it's not necessary to charge that much. And
no,
I had
it's
said,
not.
we see technology advancements go like this and they're expensive and then eventually it gets cheaper. this is the solution of what you're saying. You already got a member base, you already got foot traffic. That 1,200 square foot is probably getting wasted on a spin studio that no one wants to be in. And now you're putting this in and you're providing a great service. It's increasing the value of the member experience and for the owner.
They're staying longer, they're happier. We uplift the whole place.
Yeah.
Put in the latest, greatest. Members are excited. We pay rent in a dead zone in a
Hmm.
fitness center. So
Yeah.
anybody out there, guys, ladies, you have a killer fitness center. You
Yeah.
don't know what to do with active recovery. You want us to either put it in, partner, franchise, whatever.
It's there.
Contact us
Yeah,
because we're
absolutely.
expanding like crazy. We have a 3-year plan of 200 locations, and we're getting our feet wet. We're learning.
Yes.
It's a startup, but we're much better than we were in January.
Before, I really at this point in time want to just ask you a few questions for the operator's sake and for the founder's sake, but I have to ask you about one thing about California fitness before we move on, and it's the pictures I saw you post, I believe, on LinkedIn. I remember you telling me on a phone call we had a couple of years ago saying about how you guys had done a deal with Pamela Anderson in Asia to do a marketing campaign because she was popular at that time, but especially in
Baywatch.
Asia, or Baywatch, right? And I'm like, oh, really? And I thought about that so much because I don't know where I've ever seen the fitness industry ever use a celebrity necessarily, like as far as a health club. I can't recollect that. And I'm like, that's so interesting. Then I saw the photos and you were in some of the photos. You were in great shape in those photos too. Like your arms were
Yeah,
you
yeah,
looked super youthful. And so
yeah.
just how did where did that idea come from and how did you execute that?
Well, on the board of directors of 24 Hour, Cindy Crawford, Magic Johnson, they were on our board.
Okay.
And I brought Cindy to the first ad in Hong Kong was like the New York Times. It's called South China Morning Post.
Yeah.
Page 3, full page color, Cindy Crawford. Join my club, California Fitness.
Wow.
And she only had done Revlon, but she was the #1 model in the world.
Yeah.
And women didn't want muscles, but they certainly wanted to look like her.
Yeah.
And that's how we started.
That's amazing. And that right there for well, the industry's changing now. Women know they're not going to lift weights and get jacked. They realize now they can lift weights and it's not going to happen at the rate. But back then, that was the superstition, right? So you had to
Every
overcome.
day. I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, I promise you won't.
Yeah. Yeah. One other thing I before there's a couple other things I won't take too much more of your time, but what do you think of the concept was we were talking when I was talking with Ed, we were talking about being corporate versus franchises, and he's like, it's so hard to find great leadership and like great instructors and anytime I'm talking to health clubs owners, they're always expecting for the industry to cultivate the people that they want. And they never have any type of training in place. They never have any like career paths for the instructors, for the personal trainers. And I had come up with a concept for a client of mine on creating their own university. I was like, if you want people at a certain standard, if they have a good heart and they have a passion for health and fitness, like that'd be like the military expecting people to be ready for battle before they train them. I'm like, why don't you create a curriculum on how to select music, how to select exercises for an instructor and set the energy that you want in this room? And same as personal trainers. Do you think that there's a resource for people to think of that or something they should make on their own?
Today, I would, if I'm a newbie in the industry and I
Hmm.
want to be an owner,
Hmm.
uh, I spend a year minimum reception at a busy club. Then I want to do every job I can. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you got to be great at sales. You
Yeah.
gotta realize, look, and I did a keynote in Beijing, 200,000 people.
Wow.
And I'm there supposed to talk about my life, sales and marketing. And I said this, I said, if your product or service is much more valuable than the investment that you're asking for, there's no such thing as selling. It's facilitating, giving them what they came, needed, and or wanted. I dropped the microphone and I walked off the stage. They paid me 20 grand, first class fare. Da, 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 da. The promoter looked at me like
Yeah.
I was nuts,
Yeah.
and I went back on. I said, I think I made my point. Focus on the benefits, listen to the needs of your client. They came to you for a reason. Find that reason, go to their hot buttons, show them that you're a specialist and that they're part of the community that they want, and that's it. Number one person who's not in the industry has to be a master salesperson.
Mm.
Even if they're the owner, they're the that's our industry. Because procrastination. You know what?
Yeah.
It sounds great. I'm going to think about it. You know,
Hmm.
it sounds great. I'm going to ask my wife. You know, it sounds great. When I move here and full moon festival shows up, all that. And if you can't get them to become a member, when you're giving them all your juice, showing them everything, you'll never see them again. Only Schwarzenegger, when he said, I'll be back, comes back. So
Yeah.
you've got to be a master sales. First thing I would do, I'd work at a fitness center and I'd take every single sales course from everybody. There's unbelievable salespeople out there. And then start selling. Sell memberships for at least 6 months. After that, what I would do today, I would join a young franchise. I would definitely. It is too much competition today. I mean, I live in LA. It's like insane. They're everywhere. On
Hmm.
every corner, there's something. Every single, there's Pilates, there's Legree, there's yoga, there's this company, that company. And number one, learn the trade. Number two, learn sales in the trade. Number three, if you're committed to owning, go to a franchise model that resonates with you and let them teach you as you go along. That's what I would do. Would I
Hmm.
open on my own now? No. A regular fitness center? No. The industry's moved on, Ryan. It's not the way it was. The opportunities are not the straight arrow of fitness centers. It's not that. Specializing, and in order to be a specialist, you got to be a specialist.
Hmm.
And I've never sold any. Everyone says, "Oh, Eric, you're a good salesman." I said, "Not really. I've never sold anything that I don't completely believe in." And
Yeah.
again, that's not selling. That's what I would do. Number one, learn the industry. Number two, learn sales. Number three, if I had the money, I want to do it, I would join a franchise.
And learn from their systems. So where
Yeah.
can people find you if they want to? Are you what outside of this new business venture you're doing? Are you doing any consulting? Are you joining any board of directors? Are
I'm
you?
on a ton of stuff, and I do consulting for big groups and stuff, but I'm really focused on Bandit right now.
Hmm.
And if anybody out there has locations and it makes sense to them,
Yeah.
uh, it'll really add to their world, whether they want to invest, whether they want to partner, whether they want to franchise, or they just have a space that's a killer that'll make their club better. My email address is my name, Eric Levine, EricLevine, 55 at gmail.com.
Awesome. I'll put that in the show notes and also you're on LinkedIn as well. That's the only digital platform that I've ever seen you on.
Yeah,
So
I'm on LinkedIn, and if they want to Google me, it's ericlevineglobal.com.
awesome.
And that's it.
Well, Eric, the health and fitness world just got a behind the scenes look at a
Yeah,
juggernaut and a trailblazer, still providing value in the industry and still doing something new,
yeah,
catching trends. And I believe you are on the right trend with what you're talking about. I said to Ed, I see the future of fitness right now in hyper personalization, gamification, and integration. And you're covering all those. Hyper personalization is it's the biometrics, it's understanding what's going on in your body, your grip strength, your cognitive ability, your bone density, your visceral fat, all these things, and then creating a program to move forward and integrating your lifestyle with it. Gamifying is it's not just using the mirror and the scale to say that I'm doing well. It's your heart rate variable, it's your sleep, your blood pressure, keeps you moving forward, keeps you confident. Integration is now I can go to my health club and I can get the recovery that Eric's team is providing as well, right? So it's like I don't have to have three locations. If I want to do yoga, I want to do Pilates, health and fitness is a lifelong journey, and we're always going to try different modalities. and experiment with things. And if your club doesn't have that, not saying every club needs it, but if the club doesn't have that, they're probably going to have to venture out to find those things somewhere else. So if you want them to have the complete service, you need to consider that. So I can't thank you enough for your time and honestly, from the bottom of my heart, everything you did for our industry because I'm dedicated. I've dedicated my life and I'm going to dedicate. I have shiny objects and opportunities come my way all the time. And I just say, nope, I'm staying focused on what it is that I'm doing and helping clubs and helping owners and developers through my consulting service and gym design and through advising. And the North Star is after I sold my clubs and I'm going to be coming back in. I have a model that I'll probably share with you at some point in time. I'm really excited about, and I'd love to just have your advice on it and maybe sit down and
Sure.
have a coffee at some point in time. So thank you so much. I wish you the best and good luck on the new venture. I'm excited to learn more about it as well.
Thank you very much, Ryan, for your time. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Love talking about it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. We'll talk soon, man. Bye bye.
Okay.